Well, welcome back to the MAJO Podcast, Real, Raw, Unfiltered. I'm Derek, and as always, I'm here with Jason. It's just us tonight. He who shall not be named, Mr. I'm there unless you need me, stood us up again. So it's just us tonight, which is okay. It's okay. So,
It's fine.
he'll know who he is when he sees this.
Knows it's all love. He knows it's all love. Busy man. Got things
He's
going
a busy
on.
man. Chris, well, if you've ever caught yourself holding something back, not because you didn't care, but because you didn't know, you didn't want to blow things up, this episode is going to be for you. So today we're talking about why it's become so hard to have real conversations when we don't agree. Not debates, not arguments, just honest conversations. No politics, no sides. Just the relational cost of silence is all we're talking about, and what it's doing to friendships, marriages, families, and even how we see ourselves. So we were supposed to have somebody with us today. He can't introduce himself, so we're just going to jump in. Man, so this is something that came up for us, I think a few weeks ago after an interesting conversation. And it's just, man, this way in which, and I deal with it all the time with couples and clients and things like that, but it's a way in which people just seem to really struggle with disagreement. And so it made me wonder, like, I know we've talked a little bit about when we were younger, um, but it made me wonder, when did you first notice that disagreement started feeling risky for people?
Honestly, man, it's been probably the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been like it's got to a point from where people could just agree to disagree or, understand people, differing viewpoints to it's either my way or the end or just dissolving the relationship period as a whole. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're not going to see my way, then I have nothing for you. And
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it with people that, family members that have been around each other forever. I've seen it with friends who have been friends for 20 plus years. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen, marriages. I've seen it just, it's the most insane thing to me to take somebody's differing idea and just say, oh, well, that's your blanket. That differing idea explains everything I need to know about you as a whole. And I
Mm-hmm.
I can't possibly be involved with you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, back in the old days where people didn't talk about politics, religion, anything like that, like they just kept that stuff separate. You guys were, talk about mutual interest, talk about those types of things. But, as those things kind of went to the wayside and people started really being vocal more about just differing opinions, no matter what it's about. It doesn't even have to have anything to do with religion or politics or any of the other things. Just differing opinions have turned into a death sentence for people's relationships, and it's wild to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we talked, you kind of mentioned that before, and it got me thinking, and I was like, and you're right. Like when we were younger, and I know I'm a little bit younger than you, but when we were younger, it was like, you don't talk about politics, you don't talk about religion, you don't talk about what you get paid, you don't talk about any of those things. And it got me thinking, and I was like, and then to kind of answer the question, I'll get back to what I was saying. And then to answer the question, I was sitting here thinking about, the rise of social media and the internet chat room, stuff like that. And so there was a way, I think, in which not talking about it wasn't necessarily a good thing. It did help preserve relationships at some level. But I also look back at it now and think, like, did it really preserve relationships, or did it create this space in which we couldn't really accept each other for all the parts of us, right? So
Right.
I like you, but we don't talk about our differing views. Well,
Right.
do you really like me if we're not talking about really intense things, right? Like, because that's, I think, where friendships and relationships get tested and where they get more secure, is like we have conversations and we may disagree, but we're able to talk it through and still come out on the other side of it friends and having known each other a little bit better, right? Like that deepens the
Right.
relationship. So there's this way in which the old school way of doing things, I think, hindered relationships. And then you have this thing where you got, telephone tough guy but through the internet, with chat rooms and social media where you can say whatever you want to say and pop off at the mouth, and you ain't got to worry about getting your lip busted, right?
Right.
So you go from this generation of being told don't have these type of conversations to that generation who's being taught that, having this platform where there's just freedom to say whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
And then I think you're right. Like definitely at least the last decade, it seems like they're like people just like plant themselves in their position. And if it's like, oh, that I don't agree with that, then we can't have a relationship any longer. And it's
Right.
like, so I think it was like, I'm saying like a lot. I need to stop saying like a lot. So I think it was a mix of us not being shown how to do that, which
Yeah.
I don't really think that our parents knew how to do that.
Mm-mm.
Because they were really heavily like kids are to be seen, not heard type
Yeah.
of generation, right? So they weren't necessarily taught how to have convos. And then so they teach us not to have convos, and then we get all this freedom to say whatever we want to say, unfiltered and without restriction. I
In
mean,
the
you can get
moment.
banned, I guess. You can get Facebook banned, but you know.
Yeah.
And so I think it was just a kind of a perfect storm. And then the last 5, 6, 7, up to 10 years, any sort of disagreement is like, yeah, I don't like you no more.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's sad.
Well, and the difference is, back then it was you had to use critical thinking skills to do or say or formulate your position. I'm not even going to say argument to
Mhm,
formulate your position, because when you're talking, you're listening. You're listening to understand, not listening to respond. And
mhm,
in today's knee jerk, you know, kind of timeline that we're in, you have at your fingertips the power to say whatever you want to say that second. So
mhm,
emotions wrapped up into it. You think one thing, you watched a little 20-second clip of a video and you know all there is to know about this. You're well informed to make your decision to say
mhm,
what you want to say in that snap second. So you put it out there, you post it, you throw it out there, and then just let it be live on the internet forever.
mhm,
And people don't realize, like, you don't take a second to process that information and how it makes you feel,
mhm,
like to really truly understand what it is you're about to pop off and say. And I think that's a lot of where these misunderstandings come from, is you have
mhm,
a knee-jerk reaction, you post something, you throw it out there, and then somebody else is like, but wait a minute, I saw something that said that. Oh no, you're wrong,
mhm,
because your 20-second clip's different from my 20-second clip, so it's not right, that's not right.
mhm. It's fake
And
news.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
so you look at it and you're like, well, there's so much information out in the world right now.
mhm.
Like, you don't, like, just because you get it from a different source than where I get it from doesn't necessarily mean that either one of them are right.
Right.
They could both be wrong, because they're
Right.
both gonna have a slant on it. They're both gonna be different from everybody has an agenda when they're putting something out there like that. And if we're all listening to respond, not listening to understand, then these conversations are just going to continue to get out of hand. And everybody's so quick to just say, well, if that's how you see it, then there's no way we can be friends, because you're not the person I thought you were.
Mhm.
And it's like, but I am the person that you thought I was. Like, we just because, I see one thing this way, you see one thing this way, doesn't mean we can't find some type of common ground somewhere. We can discuss these things in such a way that you can help me understand where you're coming from. I can help you understand where I'm coming from. And we're not going to agree on everything. We're not even going to
Right.
be able to agree to disagree on some stuff. And that's okay.
Right.
We're not saying just choke it down, whatever it is. If you really want to be friends with somebody, you're just going to take it. Like, that's not what we're saying at all.
Right.
The point is like, having these tougher conversations isn't harmful to the friendship. It's just trying to understand where the other person's coming from.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I was sitting here thinking more about like growing up and what it was like to have differing opinions. Um, and I mean, yeah, thinking back, I mean, I don't remember. And Sheena and I have tried to as much as possible. Now, I wasn't really great at it early on, but definitely has gotten better as I've gotten older. But we've tried to give the kids space to give their opinion or to ask questions. Why do I have to do this? What's the point of this? Those type of things. The things that we were told to back talking back in the day.
Right.
Right. We've tried to give space to have them be able to ask those questions and
Sure.
give their opinion. Now, we may still do what it is that we want to do, but give space to ask those questions. And so, coming to this topic, jeez, this topic, and thinking back, it really was one of those things of it was, if you had a differing opinion growing up, at least in my house, it seemed like if you had a differing opinion growing up, you didn't get a say so,
No.
right? And
Yeah, we
so it
didn't get
was
we didn't
like,
get to ask questions. We didn't even get to ask those inquisitive questions and say, because like with my 2 kids, my kids are very, or my 3 kids actually, all 3 of them are very intellectual in the way that they need to know how things work and why things are.
mm-hmm,
Just
mm-hmm,
because I'm your dad and I say so, that shit didn't fly.
right,
Because I mean, it's not, and it wasn't from a disrespect thing. It was just a not understanding thing.
right,
So if I tell my daughters or my son, like, this is what I need you to do, and if they're like, well, why are you doing it that way? And I can say, because this, and this. And if they
mm-hmm,
come back and say, well, if I do this, and I can do this and this, and it's something different, it may be a better listing of the way that I wanted things done that makes more sense to them. As
right,
long as it's getting done, like, I didn't fault them for asking me those types of questions, because it wasn't ever disrespectful in the way that, well, why do I have to do that? It was always like, well, okay, so hold on, let me understand. And then, we had that type of conversation, but it was a conversation. But yeah, that
right,
kind of stuff when I was growing up, that wasn't something I could just be like, well, it was always a do this. And it was like, yep, let's go.
mm-hmm,
Because it wasn't something that you could come back and say something about.
mm-hmm, yeah, 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 and it wasn't really until, I guess, teenager, adolescence, that it came out, like the disagreement came out, but it came out as anger
Right.
by that point, right? Because you're talking about, as a kid, being told your opinion didn't matter, don't talk back,
Right.
any question of trying to understand, or not, or me being genuinely confused and saying, why do we have to do this? Because I said so. And that builds up over the course of time. So again, I think our generation being raised that way, I think that's something that's common across our generation. And then again, we're given this platforms just to say whatever we want.
Yeah.
And then our response to people who have a different opinion feels very familiar to, my opinion is what matters. Your opinion doesn't matter.
Right.
You need to listen to me. Um, and then I did see something the other day, to go what you were saying. It was a video. It was a video I watched, but it was talking about how we're living in a time now where we are questioning experts
Yeah.
who have done research and been in their field, their respective field, whatever the field may be, for decades.
Mhm.
And we see a 30-second clip of a podcast that is a different opinion than what they have,
Uh-huh.
and now we think we're experts on the different opinion of the expert who's been studying it and researching it for 30 years. And it's so common.
Yeah.
uh and that just made me laugh, thinking about all the stuff that people talk about now. That, I mean, even when it comes to relationships, I can get on
Oh
and
yeah.
see videos about relationships, and I'm just like, bro, that's dumb. Like, that is just stupid.
Yes.
And it's not, and I'm saying it's dumb or stupid from a person who studies and has studied and researched and got certified in relationships. And people just be on here like they just confident with what they're saying. They just are so
Just loud and
confident,
wrong.
loud and wrong, bro. And
Well,
and
because
the funny thing is it says we're actually attracted to that
yeah.
as humans. We're attracted to confidence, and so
Mhm.
we actually get attracted to people who seem more confident, even if they're wrong,
Yeah.
because the person who is intelligent and knows what they're talking about may be a little, like, hesitant in what they're saying, or uh, open, a little bit more open. And so we're like, but the person over here is like, no, you need to have 17 wives and make all them pay for you, because that's the way men, and we're like, oh yeah, that's what I like right there. He's confident. He knows what he's talking about.
That sounds like a
So
great idea,
it
except I
sounds like
can't make the one I have happy, let
right.
alone 17.
Right. Man, listen. Right. But we're drawn to that. And so anyway, uh yeah, so I think, a mix of how we grew up, definitely, I feel it feels like plays a part, I think, in how we respond now.
Yeah. No,
Um,
and I do see a lot of that. I do see a lot of, and it's funny because we get removed from that generation, the older generation, and we want to make things a little bit better than we had it. So we always
mhm,
grow up saying, "Well, I'm never going to do that when I get old. When I have kids, I'm going to be this," or like you had said before, like I want to be the cool dad. I'm going to let them do all these things, and you start realizing you're like, well, to a point, yes, but also to a point, no. Like it's not always beneficial for we sometimes try to move the needle a little too much, and
mhm,
they need to back it down a little bit because
right,
we're a lot closer to that previous generation than we thought because it's just always about then it's like well I said what I said, and if you don't listen to me, then you don't care, you don't care about me to listen, and you're disrespecting me because you're not listening,
mhm,
instead of coming together and having just a general conversation and saying, hey, listen, like I know we're far apart on this, but let's see if we can get a little bit closer, because and it's the thing. The more you have these conversations, the more you have to stay in tune with, like the hotter the conversation is, the more temperature checks you're going to need. You're going
mhm,
to need to remind that person, like, listen, I'm not trying to disrespect you. This is not in a disrespectful way. I mean no disrespect. I mean no harm. I just
mhm,
want to genuinely know where you're coming from,
right,
and that lets that other person know they don't have to be as defensive, they don't have to feel like they're being attacked, they don't know, because a lot of times what they do, we as people hold a very high standard of value to our core beliefs, whatever
mhm,
that belief is. Like we believe that our in our mind that belief is sacred to us, it is very valuable, and if you
mhm,
come for that idea, that ideal or belief, the fight's on,
right,
and that's understandable. But
mhm,
at the same time, like as long as whoever you're speaking with knows, like, listen, like I'm not saying your shit as a person. I'm not saying that this is, not trying to destroy your character, not trying to destroy your ideals or beliefs. I'm just trying to understand how you feel the way you feel so that we can get a little bit closer on this. And if we can't get closer on this, then we're going to have to figure that out too. But
right,
it's about that taking that next step and saying, we need to figure it out too, instead of just saying, nope, done.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, so you know, this question popped up, so I was curious about it. Like, so getting more personal. Have you ever found yourself? Have you ever noticed yourself filtering what you want to say, or shrinking in certain situations, whether it be marriage, relationship, friendship, gatherings, different things like that? And if so, what do you think that was about?
Not wanting to step on anybody's toes, not wanting to ruffle feathers, not wanting to lose that relationship, thinking that it was
Mhm,
very brittle, thinking that there was a time, I don't need to rock the boat. If I can
mhm,
just go along to get along, that'll be fine. Like, cause it wasn't anything that was damaging to me as a person or my core beliefs. So it wasn't a big deal at the time.
mhm,
So it was
mhm,
easier just to not say anything than it was to make a big deal out of something that wasn't really, that wasn't that huge of a deal. So you just
mhm,
kind of let it go by the wayside and just say, it is what it is, and just kind of keep it going because it's not always, it's kind of one of those, it's not always the hill you want to die on. So
mhm.
sometimes you just got to kind of let it go. And there's some things that you just can't do that. You have to bring it to their attention, and that's a different story. But yeah, I mean, there has been plenty of times where you kind of put yourself in a situation where or I, at least I will say that I've backed away, shied away from causing scenes and or causing disruption.
Yeah. Yeah, I think definitely in my relationship with my wife, I think over the course of time being young and stuff like that, filtering myself or shrinking and with her being feisty, with her being feisty, black Puerto Rican and Hawaiian boy, she got that fire in her. And so there's been ways I think early on that I definitely filter myself. And I think there was a point in time where I used to go heavy on theology on Facebook, and I would be in conversations on Facebook for hours, and I got to a place where it was like nobody's listening. Nobody's listening. Like you're not on Facebook to really listen. when you're on a when you're in a debate on Facebook, typing away. You're not really listening.
Thumbs just be sore. You just be
Just
typing up a
sore, bro.
reply, just waiting on the next shoe to drop. Well, I mean,
Man.
and that's the thing. Like people don't come to Facebook to get preached at. People don't come to Facebook to learn about, Bible verses and all that other stuff. Like my brother posts all kinds of things like that. Like he is very heavy into religion right now. And that's awesome for him. Like I love that he loves it, and that's fantastic.
Mhm.
Um and that's a lot of his posts are just like that. And it's like, all right, cool. Like, do you like that's fine.
Mhm.
And I laugh and I laugh and talk to my wife about it because I'm always like, he'll rope me in because he knows that I'm not on that same kind of wavelength. So he'll send me like 3 or 4 funny memes, and then the next one will be like a 25-minute video on why Moses did what he did to the. And I'm like,
Gotcha.
what? I was like, and that's what I say. I was like, he's like, I was with the gotcha, bitch. And I'm like, I don't have 25 minutes to say. I mean, could I carve out 25 minutes? Yes, I could. Am I going to? Absolutely not. I'm not going to sit there for 25 minutes and watch this video. I'm not. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
not going to do it.
Yeah.
But and it's funny because I make it a point to react to everything, and I'll just skip them. I'm like, next, on to the next thing. No reaction, no nothing. Because eventually I'm like, maybe he'll get the hint.
Maybe
Like,
he'll get that I'm not
and
reacting
sometimes
to
he'll be like,
this.
I know you don't believe in this, but I just think that where. And I'm like, cool for you. Like, I'm glad you think that. Like, if that makes you feel comfy, if that's what you like, high five, dog. Like, do you? Like, I am never going to dissuade somebody from doing something that they believe in.
Mhm.
Unless it's some creepy shit. But but
Right.
like that is for you. That what is for
Mhm.
you is for you. What is for
Right.
me is for me. Like I don't need it, thrown on me like a blanket. Be like, there you go. Like don't try to wrap me up in it.
Right. Yeah, so that, I mean, that was that phase faded out for me over the course of time because I just realized like I'm spending hours doing this, and I don't think not one person that I went back and forth with ever was like, you know what? You
I
bring
see
some
your point.
interesting points and I can see your perspective, and I think I'm gonna adjust some things. and I
You just leave the conversation more frustrated because you're like,
yeah,
damn
it's
it.
like, why did I just waste this time?
Yes. The
But I
return on
think,
the
on
investment
a
is very small.
right. I think on a personal note, and it leads to the next couple questions that I have, but I think on a personal note, I think it was really with my parents that I held a lot of stuff back
Oh yeah.
and shrunk and things like that, even as I was getting older. And, so the next question I had was like, what happens internally when you don't say what you mean or you hold stuff in? And I mean, I think that silence turns to resentment over the course of time. And that it doesn't hurt anybody or anybody up but you,
Right.
you know? Um,
Yeah, it's
and
like an
so,
infection. It
mhm,
just festers and just boils and just until it overflows, and you end up saying things that you don't mean or shouldn't have, or you take it, you approach it on a level that it didn't need to be. Like you turn the heat way up. You go from the stove's not even on, and all of a sudden you got a boiling pot. Yeah,
mhm,
and it's just instead of just being like, "Hey, this, what you said here bothered me," or I see what you said or posted here, or what you're doing that had me feeling some kind of way." And you don't like the thing is that you also have to gauge who you're talking to in
mhm,
the realm of just going on and hanging everything on your feelings or how, because some people don't really aren't as in tune and they don't value your feelings the way you do.
right,
So you're gonna be like, "Well, my feelings got hurt," and they're gonna be like, "Well, too fucking bad. Get over it.
mm,
Like, you're an adult. Figure out how to deal with it." Or instead of saying like, what you said kind of made me feel some kind of way," because
mhm,
that way you're not really putting any kind of like emphasis. You're not really pinpointing any one thing. You can just say, "Hey, I had some feelings about what you said. Like, let's talk about it. Like, I really want to discuss this because." And if you just come stand up and you offended me, and it's like, oh, okay. Like, I think that word gets overused a lot. in, in the last like 15 years, that is something that has come into the lexicon that nobody gives a shit. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm offended. Well, guess fucking what? You better figure that out because the first part of that sentence is all you need to know.
mhm,
You need to
right,
work on that because however you chose to take one, that's your fucking fault.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I think it wasn't until I started saying something that it was just it was eating me up. At least for me, the
Yeah.
holding it in led to resentment. The silence led to resentment, and was eating me up. And it wasn't until I started voicing some of it, and then finally stood firm on some things like we've talked about in the past a little bit, and didn't keep quiet, that I felt the resentment start to fade. But I was watching another video that kind of stuck with me the other day, and it was the idea that people don't actually defend their opinions as much as they defend who they think they are.
Mm.
And once a belief feels tied to their identity, questioning it doesn't feel like a conversation anymore to them. It feels more, if I question this, if I engage, if I'm wrong, it actually feels like self betrayal.
Yeah. It's like an identity crisis.
Yeah, yeah, and how, thinking about everything we've talked about, whether it be politics or theology or, any other handful of things that people have differing sides on, I think a lot of people do attach these things to their identity,
Hmm.
and that is why they hold so steadfast to them.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, think about just theology for a moment. If more people question their theology, and not that they have to question it in a way of like, saying that what they believe is wrong, but just being open to more thoughts and opinions from other people to, see if, so see what the differing opinion thinks, and uh how they believe and stuff like that, and comparing that to yours and seeing if there is something wrong with the way that you believe. Like, what if you are wrong, right? Like, a lot of people don't ask that. Like, what if I am wrong, actually? Like, I feel like I'm right, and this feels like it, part of my identity, part of my core values and belief
Right.
systems. But what if I'm wrong? Like, I don't think a lot of people ask that question.
Now,
That's a hard question to ask.
oh, it's a very hard question to ask because, especially if it's somebody, like you and I kind of laugh and talk all the time about people's love language, and then when they wrap their identity up in it, when
Mhm,
that becomes like your sole purpose of kind of who you are and what you're fighting for in the world,
mhm,
if you come out and figure out that you are wrong, that shakes your foundation of
mhm,
what you've built your whole personality around. So it's not just, oh man, I turns out I was believing something that wasn't quite right. No, you have to turn back and go, well, shit, that's everything I've built this foundation of my however many years since I've been doing this thing. Now, who am I? Now,
right,
what do I offer? Because there's so many things that are wrapped up into it. Who am I now? What do I have to offer the world? You know, all this time I believed this one thing and now it's not that. So how am I going to trust that the next thing that I believe and choose to follow is going to be right? I don't want to do this again because it's traumatic. It would
mhm,
be a very traumatic experience to turn back around and go, oh no, like I've put so much in effort and time and emotion and everything into this one thing. Now what am I?
right,
And you have trauma based on that, and you don't want it's get like getting out of a traumatic relationship. You don't want to just jump into a new one. You want to be single for a while and kind of heal from what you had going on. So that's a lot of time to be lost in who you are as a person.
mhm. Yeah, man. I was sitting here, and there's a bunch of questions that spawned off of this part of the conversation that I have, but one of the questions came up was like, have you ever doubled down on a position because backing off felt unsafe or embarrassing? And the memory that came to my mind, and this it was, you know, I vividly remember having a conversation with a friend of ours and his wife, and they were talking to me about like m- parenting and how strict I was on some things, and how I would respond to some things, and I was like, nah. Nah, I'm doing it my way. Like, I'm gonna be strict. I'm gonna be like this. I'm gonna be harsh. I'm gonna be, heavy handed, because that's the way it needs to be. And I think that there was a way that I I knew I knew that it wasn't the best way.
Yeah.
But if I questioned it, or if I opened myself up to questioning it, then it opened me up to not knowing what to do and maybe making more mistakes. in the unknown. And so I held fast to this idea of how I needed to parent instead of listening and being open to, hey, maybe this isn't the best way of doing this, and it's okay to make a mistake trying to figure out how to do it a better way, right? But does anything come to mind for you where you've like kind of doubled down on a position like that, where or you may have been in the wrong, but it was like, nah, I'm not giving in this moment.
There's a lot of them with it just in my relationship with my wife early on when, she's trying to get me to understand that my emotions needed to be in check. Like, you can't just run around here and freak out and break things and throw things and tear things up. And because you're teaching our kids that it's okay to act that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, this is just what it is. This is how I grew up. This is what I know. Like, this is just like, this is who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And then as time goes on and I start hearing my kids talk about me and how I get and things that have happened and things that they've seen, and I'm like, oh shit. And then I see my son now, because his girlfriend has kids, and seeing him with them snaps me back to how I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I stop him all the time and I'm like, listen, man, like, don't. Like, I know what you saw, I know what you heard, I know what you went through. Don't do that now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't, please have patience. I know
Right.
I never did. I understand, like, and that's my issue. Like, please, like, and they, like, I've said this on here before, like, my kids have been very gracious in allowing me to atone for a lot of the shit that I did when they were growing up. But I see in them the way they're parenting the kids that they're around now. Like, my daughter with my grandkids the same way. She has zero patience. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, you're not that busy. Life's not that hard. What they're asking isn't that big of a deal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just calm down, have a little bit of patience. But they're the same, but they're doing the same shit that I did. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, I think back to it. I'm like, in my mind at the time, everything was a monumental deal. And I was in such a hurry and there were so many things to do. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I made life way harder than it needed to be back then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my youngest granddaughter, who's 6 years old, is the most inquisitive kid that you will ever know. Like, she has got a genius brain, and I know everybody says that about their grandkids, even if they eat paint off the wall like dipshits. But like, the way her brain works is very fascinating for her to be 6.
Mm-hmm.
And she asks a shit ton of questions, but it is not a why is the sky blue? It is
Mm-hmm.
the why is this the way this is? You have to break down like fundamental reasonings of things of how things work to her, or she doesn't understand it.
Right.
And so she'll ask these questions, and then my daughter will just finally be like, "Listen, you sum it up in 2 questions. That's all you got. That's all I got time for." And I'm like, "You don't have shit else to do. Like, what do you?" She's like, "I don't have time. It's just too much. It's all the time." And I'm like, "But this is the best part of them growing up. Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
the time you get to connect with them the best, and you're going to build and formulate a relationship with them that's going to last forever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so don't waste these early moments." Thinking that you don't have time, because this is your
Right.
whole job. Like, your whole job is to spend time with these kids and get them ready for later. Like, and
Right.
if you continue to think like you don't have time and everything's so monumental when it's really not. Like, yes, the questions get exhausting. Yes, it's frustrating sometimes, but at the same time, think about it from their standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand the stress and the things that you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
So take a deep breath, reset, maybe tell them, hey, we can talk about give mommy 15 minutes, give mommy 20 minutes, let me get situated, settled down. Then we can come back and discuss this in a minute. Nine
Right.
times out of 10, they're going to fucking forget anyway. Like,
Right.
just let them go run off and watch whatever the hell they're going to watch. And 5 minutes later, they won't even remember they had a question. And if
Mm-hmm.
they do, then you come back together and talk about it. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just that kind of thing that I wish I would have listened to a long time ago. But,
Yeah.
with age comes wisdom, comes calming down and slowing down and realizing that everything wasn't as crazy as you made it out to be.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to like what I'm having in my head is I'm like, man, it's tough because we're looking at it with that age and that
Oh
wisdom
yeah,
and
100%.
right. And then I remember being back in it like
Oh yeah,
eh,
elbow deep,
I hate
elbow
knocking them
deep.
at the same time. I'm like, calm down, bro. Like
Right,
it's
like
not
that's
that big of a
it,
deal.
dog.
But I
I'm telling
remember
you right
how
now.
much stress it was to be raising somebody and try to
Yes,
keep them alive and how stressful
yes.
that was.
Yeah, I mean, you take something now that you'd look back on and crack the hell up laughing, but in the
Mhm.
moment, you're just like, this is DEFCON
Mm,
5, and it's like, well, that's not even on the DEFCON list. Like,
mhm.
you're not even on. Like, it's not even something to get your blood pressure up about. And we used to think it was the end of the world, and it's just
Mhm.
like, bro, take me back to those times.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I sent my daughter a meme the other my oldest daughter the meme the other day, and it was, it was, it was a TikTok, and it was, Terrence Howard and, Hustle and Flow, and it was, like, my oldest telling me to go back to how I used to be when I was their parent. It was like, whoop that trick," that wanted me to do that with the younger ones.
Yes.
'Cause it's like by the time the younger ones get here, it's like,
Oh
"Bruh."
yeah.
And then she's like, "What?
Oh
Uh,
yeah. No, I hear that
what?"
shit. I hear that shit from my daughter all the time. She'd be like, Jordan got to do what? You're like, what? She's like,
Mhm,
you would have never. And I'm like, listen.
mhm,
Or with the
mhm,
grandbaby, like with the grandbabies, it's real bad because they get whatever. And she's
mhm,
just like, wait a minute. And I'm like, oh no, this is
mm.
different times.
Yep, different times, different bank account.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Times have
so
changed.
right, man, things have changed. I'm already spoiling my grandkids, they ain't even here yet, so, they're already my favorites. I already like
Right.
them more than my kids, I don't even have any yet.
That's it.
Um, so coming back to the conversation, is it with a lot of opinions and things being attached to people's identity now, which maybe is a whole conversation of itself of how we got there, of why we attach so strongly, not to like who we are as people of like, I'm funny, I'm kind, I'm outgoing, those kind of things. Like we really attach our different views to
Oh
who
yeah.
we are as a person, right? But anyway, talking about at some level, maybe you're feeling something along the lines of your dignity. So is it possible to listen calmly when your dignity feels like it's on the line? Is that possible to listen calmly when dignity is at risk?
It's it's not easy, but at the
Mhm.
same time, you have to think about it, and I think this is where, like, when I was talking about earlier, when you have to really continue to do, like, temperature checks and check in with the person you're talking to,
Mhm.
because when you feel like your dignity is on the line, is that really what's happening? Or is that
Mm,
something is that just a feeling that you're having, or is that really what's happening in the moment?
right.
Because there's a lot of times we'll take that and self-internalize that and be like, oh well, now they're attacking my character, they're attacking my dignity, this is this and this, and it'll turn out to be when it really was just a question, or it may not be. There may not be the malice behind it that you originally think it is when you guys start the conversation in the first place.
Mhm.
So just take the time, do the temperature check. But no, it's not hard, but that's where self-regulation comes in. Like, as hard as it is, there are going to be times that you're going to have to check that and just kind of be like, listen, like, and if you like, not all these conversations do not have to be an A to Z situation. There
Right.
can be breaks. There can be sometimes you're going to have to take the time to be like, listen, this is getting out of hand. We're going to have to come back to this later. Let's talk tomorrow. Give me 30 minutes or an hour. I'll call you back. Like, there's just depending on how how the conversation is structured, there may be times that breaks are needed, and that's okay. There's nothing
Mm,
wrong with that,
right.
as long as like Derek, what you talk about in some of your therapy sessions, like, as long as you commit to coming back to the conversation,
Mhm.
you just
Mhm.
set that date, set that commitment with that other person, and honor it, and come back to it, and then try to continue to work it out.
Right.
But just to sit there and let it boil over to a point that you can't return from, like, that's where a lot of these things, I think, take the hardest turn, is that, you feel like that, you feel under attack, you feel backed into a corner. 9 times out of 10, you're going to say some shit that can't be walked back.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I think that something that keeps hitting me in my mind too is like it's not an attack on your personhood to if you're wrong.
Right.
And somebody says that you're wrong, or somebody points out that what you think or believe your opinion is wrong, it's not an attack on who you are as a person.
Yeah.
That's just saying you're wrong, and it's okay to be wrong. It doesn't change who you are as a person to be wrong about something.
Right.
Um, because I had that experience. This dude was wrong about something and verifiably wrong about it, and I just happened to say, you don't understand what's happening, and man, he took it super personal, and it's
Yeah.
like it wasn't an attack on you, bro. It's just saying that you don't get what's happening. You don't understand how this thing that you're talking about works, and it's
Right.
okay. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that, but seems like people attach being wrong to their character or their personhood as well.
What's their value? Like,
Mhm,
my value is I'm knowledgeable about this situation, and I'm offering my knowledge of what I feel like I know.
mhm,
And one of the biggest things about it that's really hard for people to understand is being wrong doesn't mean you're stupid. Doesn't mean you're
mhm.
dumb. It just means you ingested a piece of information that wasn't correct,
Right.
and you redistributed said information. So it just means that the information was wrong, which
Mhm.
made your opinion is your opinion regardless. But
Right.
if your opinion is based off of information that is not valid or factual, then you got to go back to the drawing board and study some more. The same thing with
Mhm.
with your answer. Like, you can have an opinion on an answer for a test, but if you studied a different, the wrong information for the answer that you gave, you felt like that was the right answer because of the information you studied. It
Right.
was the wrong answer because you didn't have the right information.
Right. Right.
Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't make you stupid. It just means you looked at the wrong part of the book.
Right.
Doesn't mean you can't go find the right part of the book.
Right.
It just
And you
means that
studied
at that
you
time you
studied
didn't.
chapter 5, but the test was on chapter 6. Like
Right. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, at the time, you believed what you were saying,
Mhm.
and so your opinion is your opinion. I mean, it doesn't.
Mhm.
Nobody's attacking you saying, "Oh, well, you're a piece of shit because you said this and that's not right."
Mhm.
And that's where people really attach value, their self-worth, to being right and never being wrong.
Right.
Because of some, people get things right. It's just, oh, fuck, like I'm wrong.
Mhm.
It's just like that pit in your chest, and you're just like, oh, I don't want to be wrong. Well, nobody
Mhm.
wants to be wrong, but guess what? We're human. It's going to happen.
Right. Right. Yeah. There was something you said earlier, and it brought up a question of when does disagreement feel danger? When disagreement feels dangerous, what are we actually afraid of?
I honestly think it's that. I mean, it has a lot to do with the worth that you attach
Mm,
to your opinion, to being right. Like,
mhm.
how right do you need to be?
Yeah.
Like, is it, like, as a person, if you're one of those people that's just like, oh, well, I know a lot about a lot, so you kind of should probably listen to me. And those are the type of people that, are, I'm not going to say the most dangerous, but they're the ones that have the hardest time when the conversations don't go their way.
Mhm.
And though, because those are the people that attach a lot of their self-worth to just being right or knowledgeable about a wide variety of things.
Yeah.
And it's not bad to be knowledgeable about a wide variety of things, but you also have to know what you don't understand. And that's okay. Like, there's going to be things out there, and there's lots of, like, that. I am a wealth of useless knowledge. I'm pretty good at trivia for shit like that because I know a lot of things about a lot of things. I'm
Mhm.
also smart enough to know that there's a lot of shit I don't know.
Mhm.
But I'm
Mhm.
not just going to sit there and be like, yeah, I know pretty much everything there is to know about everything, because nobody knows that. Like, this isn't the Matrix. This isn't Limitless. You can't take a pill or plug in and go, oh, I know all these things now. And it's like, if you could download the internet, that'd be awesome into your
Right.
brain, but we can't. So, that
Yeah.
we are at a, and this is the dangerous part of where we are in society as a whole. Like, we have this beautiful, lovely, cell phone in our hand at all times that we can just look up information and have the answers to things very quickly.
Mhm.
if you know where to look. If you're on
Right.
chapter 5 talking about the chapter 5 test, not chapter 6, not something else, like, you have to take the information and, there's nothing wrong with, you know, proofreading, proof checking, double checking, fact checking the answers that you think you're gonna run with, whatever makes the most sense to you.
Mhm.
That's what a lot of people kind of fail to do in today's society. They take that 30-second screen grabber, that headline, and just, so we see it all the time. People read a story on Facebook and they just like the comments are going crazy, and you'll see people, oh, you must not have read the story.
Right.
Well, no, but
Man,
the headline
they just
said,
go off the headline. Yeah.
and they see that headline,
Yeah.
they're just going in, and they're just like
Yeah.
2 paragraphs deep, and you're like, "Bro, did you even read?" Well, no. Oh,
I just
okay,
read the headline.
cool. Like, that's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of misleading headlines. That's kind of the point of running the headline, is for you to click it
Mhm.
and the click the
Yep.
bait and the thing.
Mhm. And get reactions out of it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean, I think it does have to do with being right, and but it also makes me wonder if it's really about being rejected. Like
Oh, I'm sure that's got something to do with it too. Yeah.
if I'm wrong, think about how much people stick in their cliques, right? Like you don't have it's not like people hang out in groups of people with differing opinions. Like that's just not what we typically do. Now some people do, but that's not what we typically do, right? And so there, if I'm trying to win this argument, am I really trying to win this argument, or am I trying not to lose? Because if I lose, that means that somehow maybe I lose my sense of belonging to something. Because if I am wrong, then what does that mean for the people that I'm in relationship with that also think the way that I do? And if I tell them that I'm wrong, which means that they're wrong, how are they going to respond?
Yeah.
Right? Like, so it leads to, if am I wrong? Is there something wrong with what I believe, can lead to that fear of losing relationship and losing belonging. And so if for a lot of people, it seems like it's easier just to plant my flag on this hill, and I'm gonna die on this hill regardless of if I know deep down that I am I may need to rethink this. I'm gonna die on this hill anyway.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and it's hard too. Like when you bring in the group dynamic,
Hmm.
because if you as a group believe one thing, and then you come to find out that that one thing that you believe as a group may not be what you thought it was. It's not just you anymore. Now
Hmm.
it's your whole group
Hmm.
is wrong. So now
Right.
you're not only shaking your own foundation, you're shaking the group's foundation.
Hmm.
And that's then you're taking on the responsibility for how those other people are going to react, what it's going to mean for them, what their outlook is going to be, and you start kind of internalizing everybody else's struggle all
Hmm.
at one time. So that's
Hmm.
a lot to put on yourself, which will cause you to just kind of go along to get along in that situation, because you're like, well, I'm not rocking that boat. Like, I don't
Hmm.
even want to rock the boat when it's just myself. I damn sure don't want to rock the boat when it's 4 or 5 other people involved.
Hmm. Right. Yeah. I mean, think about. I mean, that would lead to so much more cohesiveness, though, I think, if people would be just willing to question themselves. But we're
Yeah.
so stuck in cliques and groups and anyway, it's just yeah. If we be willing more to challenge our positions than hold fast to them, it would lead to a lot better things than where we're at right now. Eh, another kind of question that came up was when do you think disagreement got confused with disrespect? When did that start happening? Because I think that happens a lot too.
Oh, that happens a ton.
Mhm.
Um, I noticed it back in the 90s. Like the 90s for me, early 90s was a big thing about like respect. And it's either you listen, understand, and believe what I say, or if you speak up against what I say, well, that's you're disrespecting me, and I'm not going to have that.
Mhm.
And that's when it was really dangerous, because disrespect led to we're going straight to hands. Like
Mhm.
there's no talking about it. There's no let's de-escalate the situation. It
Mhm.
was, oh, you're being disrespectful to me. Now we got to fight. And there are times where that was true. Like the disrespect was blatant, the disrespect was obvious, and the best way to go about that back in the time was to fight it out. Now, I'd much rather see people fight it out than shoot it out or stab it out or whatever else. Like
Right.
that's the thing. But at the same time, like I think now, as I'm, as about to be 50-year-old man here in a few days, like I look
Mhm.
at it as that's like when I think now to actually physically putting my hands on another person to like try to
Mhm.
fight somebody, I'm like, for what? Like what? Like, because dog, that used to be that wasn't even my go-to. That was my default setting. Was
Mhm.
I woke up and left my house every single day being like, I'm touching somebody today. Somebody's getting punched in the face today. I had a hair trigger. I was ready to go at all point in times because you're not just no.
There's a lot of people
And
on the Epstein list that left the house saying they were gonna touch somebody today.
that's right. Oh man, that list is
Anyway, sorry, digress.
getting long. But but honestly, like I was ready. I was always ready at any point in time to fight somebody. And now I look at that and I'm like, but like for what? Like that
Mhm.
literally proves nothing. Like I don't even. And it just to me, I would much rather de-escalate the situation and figure out why it is because 9 times out of 10, it's not disrespect. It's just
Mhm.
people not understanding.
Mhm.
There's a difference in a knowledge gap and disrespect. If somebody just comes out and goes, "You're a dumbass for thinking the way you think," that's disrespectful.
Right.
99% of the time, that is not, unless you're on the internet, that's not what happens. On
Right.
the internet, people just say wild shit because, like we
Mm,
said, keyboard warriors are a thing.
yeah.
But if it's just somebody being like, well, I don't think what you said is true. That's not disrespectful. They're being like, I read something that's a little different. And you can be like, oh, yeah. Why do you think it's not true? And they can be like,
Right.
well, as I read this that said this. Okay, well, let's compare notes because I think this because I saw this. And if we see these two things, and a lot of times, like I said, it's not disrespect. It's just a knowledge gap.
Mhm. Yeah. How much do you think tone plays in that part into that though?
A ton. Because if you come and they be like, "You're full of shit," I want to be like, "Bitch, what?"
Mhm.
Like that's a different situation. But if you're like, "Hey, what you said or what you posted the other day, like I saw that and I saw something different. Like, are you sure what you posted is true? Like, where did you get what you posted?"
Mhm.
Or somebody's like, "Where'd you get that dumb shit from?" Like, that's a completely different situation.
Right. Yeah, you're
Like,
talking about
that's a
genuine
different
curiosity, right?
yeah,
Genuine curiosity versus like a defensive startup or harsh
right,
startup. That's a harsh you're dumb. That's a harsh
right.
startup versus genuine curiosity, which is that was interesting. Like, tell me more about that because I kind of heard something different. So I'm interested in what you're saying.
Right.
Right?
Because there's a lot of times where somebody will post something and they'll have a differing opinion than you, but neither one of you are subject matter experts on the thing.
Mhm.
Now, if I'm not coming to Derek and being like, you told that couple this and that's fucking dumb. Like Derek is a relationship therapist. Derek went to a lot of school. I did not go to a lot of school. I haven't driven by as many schools as Derek has gone to school in my lifetime at 50. So
Right.
I can promise you now, Derek knows what it like. So if like, I'm not going to go to Neil deGrasse Tyson and tell him that he doesn't know what he's talking about a constellation in the sky. Like that's
Right.
stupid. That
Yeah.
would be dumb of me. But at the
Right.
same time, like if we're both talking about something that neither one of us went to school for, and I could be like, neither one of us are subject matter experts. So I can be like, hey, you said something about this, and I want to know where you got that information from because I saw this and I got this from here. And you can
Mhm.
compare, like, there's nothing wrong with comparing notes because at the end of the day, you guys both may figure out that you're wrong. You both may be full of shit. And
Right.
there's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't shake your foundation to the core to be like, well, now I'm a horrible person because I thought this.
Right.
And it just takes time to sit back and be like, oh, well, I guess we were both wrong, or I'm wrong, or you're wrong, whatever the hell the case may be. Like, it's not going to kill you to be wrong. Trust me, I'm
Right.
50. I've been wrong a lot.
Man.
I'm still
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And starting a sentence with "no offense" probably isn't the best way to start a sentence either when
Now,
you're
because some offensive shit's coming. It's coming. No offense, you fucking idiot, but
Right.
listen.
No offense, but you're a freaking lunatic and you're out your freaking mind. You're a worthless human being. No offense, though. No offense. Oh, the kind of things that crack me
With
up. No
all due
offense. No, you
respect,
mean you're offensive. You're being offensive.
with all due respect, you fucking moron.
Right. That's the other one. With all due
Yeah.
respect.
With all due respect, you mental midget.
All right.
Listen, here's the problem.
Yeah. Disrespect flows out after that. With all due respect, here comes the disrespect.
Right.
Oh man. So what has helped you stay connected in hard conversations that you've had with people? I know we talked about curiosity. Is there anything else that's helped you stay in those hard conversations and stay connected?
Honestly, with me, it's letting the other person know that I value the relationship, that I
Mhm.
value what we're talking about. And not only do I value the relationship, but I value your opinion. I value what you're saying. It's not just I'm not just listening to respond. I'm listening to understand because I value your viewpoint on
Mhm.
whatever it is we're talking about. Like
Right.
if I have a question about something and you're going to talk to me about it, I want you to know this is not an attack on you. I genuinely don't know and I would like for us to get to a point of understanding.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think it's reminding myself the relationship matters first and foremost. You know what I'm
Oh yeah.
saying? Like you're talking about. Um, and then really getting to a place that's been really difficult, but getting to a place where I can, and I'm not always perfect at it. I mess up still, but for the most part, try to like this reaction that I'm having, this feeling that I'm having, this is about me and something happening within me. This isn't about this other person. They don't control my insides and how I feel and my emotions and everything like that. So if I'm feeling some sort of way, what is what they're saying hitting on? What is this about? And trying to depersonalize what, even if they're getting upset or they're saying something, like trying to depersonalize that, like even everything we're talking about, right? So the guy I mentioned earlier that I had the conversation with a little while back, recognizing that him getting first of all, the way that he came at me was he felt hurt and disrespected by what I said. Okay, cool. Apologize for that. My bad. His continuance of being disrespectful and talking to me the way he was about him. It wasn't about me.
Right.
It was his inability to take what I said and feel that it was genuine and accept my apology for offending him and letting that go and having a conversation. That was about him and his struggles. That wasn't about me. Because I know me, I was open. I was open to having a conversation. I was
Right.
curious. I didn't, I was open to anything he said. And so if I had personalized what the interaction that I was having with this person, it would have went crazy, crazy left because it would have been just disrespect responded to with disrespect, respond to with disrespect, respond. You know what I mean? And so I think some of the hard conversation in the hard conversations, recognizing that what I'm feeling is about me and what they're feeling and what they're doing is about them. That it's not personal, right?
Yeah.
Um, And then also, really sticking to the like help me understand kind of dynamic. I tell couples all the time, I'm like, there's three things that you can fight for. You can fight for yourself. What is it? Hold on. Now I'm going to forget what I say. um, you can fight for yourself. You can fight to be understood. You can fight. There it is. There it is. There it is. You can fight to be right. You can fight to be understood, or you can fight to understand.
Mm,
Right. So if I can fight to be right, then I'm fighting for me. If I'm fighting to be understood, then I'm fighting for me. But if I'm fighting to understand, then I'm fighting for the other person.
right.
And if they're fighting to understand, then they're fighting for me. And so we're fighting for each other instead of against each other, right? And so really trying to stick to that idea of like help me understand.
Right.
Even if I fully disagree, like help me understand your side. What are you gonna say?
No, that makes perfect sense. Because I mean that's the thing. It's about letting the other person know that you're in it for not selfish reasons. Because that's the thing. Like, that lets the person know that you're not listening to understand. Or you're not listening to respond. You're listening to understand.
Hmm.
And that's the big difference because people will. It disarms people. It lets them know that it's not an argument. It's a maybe a heated conversation, but it's a heated conversation with an end goal,
Right.
not just a I want to be right and this is why I'm gonna just continue to beat this into you until you see my viewpoint.
Right.
It's a we're gonna come together on this until we understand each other.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna keep going until I can understand you. Like, you know that I'm fighting to understand you. I'm not fighting for me. I'm not fighting to be right. I'm fighting to understand you. And when you can have that in a relationship to where you know that you're both engaging on a place of from a place of care and wanting to understand, it just lowers that tension and that dynamic that happens
Absolutely.
in a lot of conflict. What's one sentence that de-escalates instead of escalates?
In that situation, I've honestly stopped before and just been like, "Hey, let's lower the temperature. Let's turn this
Mhm,
down some. Like
mhm,
we're it's getting a little too heated. I don't want this to get out of control." Like, and that's the big thing is letting the other person know that you don't want it to get out of control
mhm.
is disarming to the other person. Let them know, like, I'm not trying to push this to a place we can't come back from,
Right,
and
right,
that'll give them a second to kind of pause and be like, "Hey, we need to take a breath. Let's take a breath. Take a minute. Like, let's just calm down a little bit. Like, this shit's getting out of control."
right.
And that way they know, like, you really truly are, because if you'll take yourself out of the situation and stop everything and be like, look, like, I'm not trying to get this to go there, that person then knows that this is a safe space for them to de-escalate, calm down a little bit, and then reframe.
Mhm. I found that, like, something like a reset to, like, reminding that we're on the same team. So,
Yeah.
and I found this by accident. Used to work in a group home with boys, and there was a kid there that, and I was a therapist, obviously, and so I'm on their side heavily. Like, I'm not taking staff side, and I'll tell staff that too. I'm on the boys' side. Well, there was one moment where he was upset about something, and then he and I came in to kinda talk to him, and he, like, turned and pushed that at me, what's the word I'm looking directed, that's the word I'm looking jeez, it's a
Mhm.
Sunday night, I need to go to bed. He directed that anger towards me, and I was kinda like, "Hold on, like, who are you talking to right now? Like, look at me, who are you talking to?" And he's like, "You," and I said, "Am I your enemy?" And he's like, "No." I said, "Okay, remember that. Like, now what's going on?" Right? And it was just like this reset of him recognizing who he was talking to, this person that has sat with him and,
Mhm.
been there when he's talking about the stuff he's been through. And it was just like this reset. So I've used various forms of that with people throughout my relationship since then, where it's like, hold on, like even my kids, like I'm your dad, right? Like you don't have to agree with me, but just remember, like, who are you talking to? Like, I'm your dad. I'm on your side. I'm for you. Okay, let's have this conversation now, right? You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it just 'cause it's like this way it just kinda instantly like, "Oh, okay, right, like this person is on my side,"
Yeah.
right? And it takes work, obviously, again, the
Oh
relationship
yeah.
is important to be able to do that, like, if you're just a jerk all the time and don't really have a relationship with that person, it's probably not gonna work, but that's more for,
And you're
like
not gonna and it goes back to delivery. You're not gonna deliver it this way. You're like, "Who the hell are you talking to?" It's gonna be
Mhm,
different than,
right,
"Hey, let's take a second. Let's remember who you're talking to."
right,
Because that's the thing. I mean, the difference is we get so like we get tunnel vision in these heated conversations, and we just start seeing red, and we start talking at people, not to people.
mhm,
And when you do that, you often everything blurs. The lines blur, the respect blurs, everything about it blurs. And
mhm,
sometimes you need that stop, step back and say, "Hey, listen, let's take it down a notch. Let's like I'm not coming at you, like don't come at me, like this is how this is gonna go." And you move forward in that type of way so that they understand, like, not only is it doesn't need to go that way, but like this isn't a fight, it's a conversation.
right, right. Yeah, and all this, thinking about connection doesn't require agreement, it just requires presence. and coming back to that when you're in the midst of something and it's getting escalated, just coming back to that of being present in this moment. Hey, it's us. Like, we have a relationship. Like, we don't have to talk to each other like this. Like, I've known you for so many years, or we're married, or whatever. Or I'm your dad, or whatever. Like, we have a relationship. Let's just be present and have this conversation. You don't have to agree. Just to be present with each other.
Right.
So, well, any final thoughts? Anything before close out the show?
Biggest thing for me would be just to let's start doing a lot more listening to understand instead of
Mhm.
listening to respond.
Yeah. 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 We don't need more opinions, man. I think we need more presence.
Yep.
Right. We just need more presence with people. So most of us aren't afraid of necessarily being wrong. We're afraid of being rejected. And when disagreement feels like a threat to who we are, silence starts to feel safer than honesty. And it's really not. It just drives disconnection. So,
Yep.
remembering connection doesn't require agreement. It just requires curiosity, humility, courage, and to learn and experience and grow your ability to stay present when things feel uncomfortable. And we'll be able to have a lot more conversations and not so much conflict and disconnection like we have now.
That part.
It sucks. And I know it's overblown by social media. Like, I know they only show the disconnect and the conflict,
Right.
but it starting to feel like it's seeping out into a lot of other places. So,
Yeah.
well, if this episode hit home, send it to someone you miss talking to, not to prove a point, but to keep that connection alive and have that conversation, whatever conversation you've been needing to have. So, this is the closing out the 49th chapter of Jason's life show. He'll be turning 50 before our next episode.
It's true.
So happy early birthday.
Thank you, sir.
Big 50 coming up, boy. Woof.
I used to dread that birthday, but now I look at it like since I wasn't promised that birthday at 44 and
Mm-hmm.
was told I wasn't never going to reach that birthday at 44 if I didn't change a few things. Like I'm thankful to be even approaching it. So let alone making it there. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a huge thing, man. It's a huge thing.
sir.
Yeah. Next week is actually going to be our first in-person live show. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to figure out how to coordinate that and figure that one out because we're going to be in Tennessee celebrating Jason's birthday.
Yep.
So we're going to figure out how to make that work for the first time ever, but that'll be an experience and something different.
Coming to you live from the snowy mountaintop with no animals in the background.
Yeah, no animal co-host. Yeah. Well, so stay tuned for that. And again, I didn't say at the beginning of the show like I normally do, but follow at the MAJO Podcast, the MAJO Podcast on all social medias. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify, Apple, all the platforms, wherever you like to listen to your podcast at, so that you don't miss what's coming next. And so we look forward to seeing you next week with our first live episode for a real, raw, unfiltered conversation. So we'll see you then.
Y'all take it easy.